Hello, thanks for joining me today. I have a card for you that I made using supplies from the Spellbinders card kit of the month for July called Damask Daydream, and I think it's quite lovely if I do say so myself. All of the supplies you see here came from the kit. This card base here is an A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and so that is kind of the normal size that I always make. And these beautiful little pieces here are the die cut shapes that you get in the kit. I think they're very lovely. And this card has kind of this purple theme going through it with touches and highlights of gold there. So these pattern papers I think are quite beautiful and lovely. And I'm just going to trim those down to fit on my card. And I'm also going to use the stamp set there with that pretty flower. And then I do use these 2 strips of statements here, but I don't use these 2 tickets. I was thinking of using them, but I changed my mind in the end. And then those beautiful rhinestones are going to go on the front of my card. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm just trimming this down with my paper trimmer. And each of these strips, I did pre-cut these off camera. They're measured 1/2 inch by 5.5, and again that purple one is 3 1/4 by 5.5. So that way it will completely cover the front of my card, which you can see here. I'm just laying these out to see if I like the layout, and since I'm pleased with it, I'm going to go ahead and use some double-sided tape adhesive to adhere it to the front of my card. And then we'll be ready to decorate it with those beautiful die cut shapes. So this is a very simple, easy card, but I think the results are, again, as I said before, quite lovely and beautiful. And that looks really nice. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this piece to the front. There we go. Now I do like the way that looks. That's very pretty, I think. I'm just going to trim off that little tiny bit that was hanging over the side there. Sometimes that happens even though you do the measurements. For some reason there's always a little overhang here or there. Okay, so this is the way I'm going to lay out those elements on the front of my card. Now that sparkle there is a little bit crooked. I'll straighten it at the end here. But I'm just using that same double-sided adhesive to get that on the front of my card. And there we go, straighten that up nice and neat. And then I'm going to use this tool here. This is a stamping tool to stamp this beautiful flower, and those stamps do come in the kit as well. I'm using some Memento Lulu Lavender ink that I had in my supplies to stamp this so it would match the colors on the front of the card. And I'm going to stamp it about 2 or 3 times just to make sure I get a good image. That Lulu Lavender is quite a soft ink, so I want to make sure that that flower shows up well and those lines are nice and detailed. And then I'll be ready to go ahead and add those 2 little pieces there to the top and bottom. First I'm going to go ahead and use this sanding block. This is, I think, kind of a nail buffer actually, but I repurposed it. And when you receive these in the mail, these little pieces have little like notches on the side, and so I like to cut those off or trim them down or sand them off just to try to get rid of those and make it look a little more of a straight line instead of a, you know, a little bit messy. So there we go. You've got grace. And this other one says, you've got style. Now you could leave it just like that, but I decided that I wanted to use this bamboo leaves and Lulu Lavender and a paintbrush to kind of add some color to that flower. So I'm just stamping those onto that sheet of paper there. It's got a plastic coating on it. And then I'm using some water. So I'm starting with water, no paint. This is just water. And you can see it does have the effect of making that purple look a little bit darker than it actually is. And that kind of does stay even after it dries. It lightens up a little bit, but to my eye at least, it looks like it stays a little bit darker than when I originally stamped it. Then I'm going to come in with some more water and just pick up a little bit of that paint there to the side to kind of, and again I'm adding more water as needed because I want it to be really light and faint. I don't want to overpower this flower, and I definitely want to continue to be able to see all the details, so I don't want to cover up those lines at all. So I'm trying to keep it as light as I can. And then this bamboo leaves, that's going to take a little bit more water because it's a lot darker, and you can see here I'm kind of dragging it out. I don't want a lot of paint on my brush because these are very small areas, and again I want a very light green so that you can continue to see those beautiful lines. But I love the way they still kind of, it sort of delineates those lines and makes them look almost magical in my opinion. Okay, so now it's time to decorate the front of the card, and I'm just using this katana here. It's called a crystal katana. I got it from Amazon. If you buy one from the stamping, any of the stamping companies, they'll cost you more. So I just bought one from Amazon, and really it's intended, or originally it was used by people who do nails to set those rhinestones in their nails. So if you're not familiar with it, that's what a tool is. But I just searched crystal katana on Amazon and was able to find it. I think it's a lovely little tool. It has a wax tip on one end that you see right there, that white wax tip, to help you pick those rhinestones up. And I'm using these rhinestones, these smaller ones here. Those came from my supplies because I just felt that they needed to have a little bit smaller. Okay, and then there's the finished product. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you had fun, and hope you'll give these cards a try. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to see more. Thanks so much, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.